these days, I think I gotta fix that music because I feel like it ends on the wrong note before it goes live. I gotta I'm not like a super high techy person, Janet, on the audio like timing elements. I'm like, one of these days I'll figure it out.
I
Hey,
get it.
Janet, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, and I want to welcome our viewing audience for watching us as well. My name's Brenda Meller. My company is Meller Marketing. I help people get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie, and I bring on people on my LinkedIn live show. I call this social media pie, and in this case, pie is an acronym. It stands for inspiring people. That's the P. Who inform. That's the I, and educate. That's the E. You. So I am looking forward to having this great conversation with Janet here today, guys. And we are going to be talking about how to use Facebook and Instagram ads for your business. And I know we're on mainly broadcasting on LinkedIn. Some folks may be watching us on Facebook and YouTube as well. But I always look for guests that are bringing in knowledge in new areas. And for me, I kind of selfishly pick people that I want to learn from. I have dabbled in some Facebook and Instagram ads over the years, but I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from Janet, and I know you all will as well. Hey, if you are watching right now, I would love it if you guys could please drop a comment below. It's kind of like my equivalent of tapping and saying, "Is this thing on?" and tapping the mic and saying, "Can you hear us in the back row?" In the live stream world, leaving a comment lets us know that the live stream is picking up. So please do leave a comment. You can let us know where you are watching from. I see one comment coming in already, Janet. So it looks like our live stream is good. So
Great.
Janet, good morning. And you are, we're in a different time zone. You're at about 8:07. And where in the world are you located right now?
Near Minneapolis area. Just
Okay. So not too,
I always have to tell people it's 25 minutes south of Mall of America. For some reason, everybody knows where the Mall of America is. So
nice. Yeah, not been there yet myself, but I've heard great things about it. And it's funny because we're not geographically too far from each other, but there's like a time zone that we cross over
you got it.
between Michigan and Minnesota there. So, well, I'm looking forward to the conversation today. And before we jump in, I want a little bit of background. Janet and I cross paths through Terry Bean. So I'm going to give Terry Bean a shout out in the chat right now. He may be popping on at some point this morning. But you and Terry have a podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Is it called Business Growth Time? Am I remembering correctly?
You got it. You got it. Yeah, we've
And
had
you guys,
that about 8 years now. Something like that.
wow,
It's been a long
wonderful.
time. Yeah, very long time.
That's great. And I was on your show a couple years back, and then you guys brought me back. It was just before, I think maybe during the pandemic or maybe at the beginning of the
Yeah.
pandemic. And then I said, I want to have both of you coming on my show. And we had you scheduled. I always schedule people a few months in advance. And unfortunately, my family came down with COVID, and that was back in 2021, a little over a year ago in April. And I reached out to you guys, and I'm like, I think it was just in the midst of everything. And I'm like, we got to reschedule. And we were even talking about the fact that when you have an illness, something like COVID or something like that, you lose not just the time that you're ill, but it's like the recovery time to catch up with your business. It takes you like a little while to catch up with all the loose ends.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, I think it was several months before I reached back out to you and Terry, and I said, let's reschedule. But I said, let's have you on my show separately and Terry on my show separately. And, and here we are today. So when we originally scheduled this, I was thinking June 14th sounds like some futuristic date.
When it popped up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that booked.
Right. It was
So,
like so
yeah.
far in the distance. So Janet,
Yeah.
before we jump into this conversation about using Facebook and Instagram ads for your business, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business for those folks maybe who don't know too much about you yet?
Sure. Well, it's, I mean, if you want to go way back, I started in online marketing. I say the year, when I say the year, it makes me feel so old, but 1998. So it's crazy how long it's been. And the reason I got into online marketing was selling on eBay. So
wow.
It was actually because I love shopping. So I started buying on eBay. And then I'm like, wait, I can turn around and make money selling on eBay. And that was the first taste I had of the internet. Like, ooh, there's a way to make money on the internet. And ever since then, I never looked back. Like, I have done everything on the internet, from putting people at the top of Google with SEO to affiliate marketing, blogging, you name it. I've done something with the internet marketing. Now, fast forward to today's day, it's so big. It's so different now. But bottom line is, I shifted my business to the social media side, did a lot of social media management for companies. And that was before like even ads were a thing, Facebook ads started later after the platform started. And then I decided to shift. I used to be LinkedIn, and I'm not the expert on LinkedIn at all anymore. I refer that out. And then, Twitter and in MySpace, even like
Mm.
it ages me.
MySpace, right?
There were just so many different things that we've run across, but really Facebook and Instagram are where we truly see a return on investment, especially
Mm,
with the advertising side. And
yeah.
that's why I've really just moved my entire business to that.
Awesome. And we're here mainly broadcasting on LinkedIn, and I see we've got a little over 20 people watching live right now. I know we'll have more folks coming in later. On that note, who should be using Facebook and Instagram ads for their business? Because maybe our viewing audience might want to tag some of those folks in.
Well, honestly, it doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C. So it could
Mm,
be business to consumer, it can be business to business. The amount of knowledge and data that Facebook has is incredible. Now, their hands have been slapped, as we know
mm,
publicly. It's been happening all the time. But bottom line is, it still works. We just have to they've gotten smarter. So, like the broad audiences work really well. And I'll tell you about the situation. We could talk about broad audiences as well.
sure.
But
Hmm.
big broad audiences can work really well because they learn from the algorithm who's
Mm,
clicking on things, and then they feed it to other people. So the
yeah.
bottom line is, if your audience is on Facebook or Instagram, which they are, you should be doing advertising.
That's awesome. And we were talking in the pre-show because I was like, I kind of feel like it's maybe more small business owners or entrepreneurs, but you said you actually work with coaches and consultants and others as well. Is that right?
Coaches, consultants, course
Mhm,
creators, local businesses. I do help e-commerce. It's not my specialty as well, but
mhm.
those are kind of my niches for business owners. But bottom line is, yeah, and I do more B2B, business to business, probably than B2C, but I do both for sure.
Okay. Good to know. And when you just said course creators, I was like, hey, I've got a couple of courses in development. One's done and one's almost done right now.
Oh, wow.
And I'm starting to think about, how do I, once they're complete and I launch them to the public, how do I get the word out? And I have seen ads from other course creators. I'm more on Instagram. I'm kind of stepping away a little bit from Facebook right now, but I do see ads and things that are popping up on there. So let's move into the conversation, Janet. So how do we use Facebook and Instagram ads for our business? What advice do you have for us?
Sure. Well, one thing that people need to be aware of is that Facebook owns Instagram. I'm
Mhm.
assuming people know, but some once in a while I run into people that don't. And so you do the entire marketing of your ads through the Facebook platform, but it
Mm,
goes to both Facebook and Instagram. So like you said, you spend more of your time on Instagram, but bottom line is we typically choose all placements so that it will go both, everywhere that Facebook advertise. And because they're so smart, like we talked about already, they'll figure it out for you. So if they're engaging more over on Instagram, then they're going to feed that ad more to Instagram. If they
okay.
are engaging more on Facebook, they're going to feed the ad more to Facebook. So that's the platform is called Business Manager. It's a lot of people have a love-hate relationship, mainly a hate relationship with Business Manager. So it's one of those things that you have to learn and you have to go through. I live, eat, sleep, and breathe in Business Manager. So it's one of those things that I've obviously helped a lot of businesses with, but that's where everything is done for the Facebook and Instagram advertising.
Okay. Now I'm curious too, because sometimes when you're on Facebook or Instagram, you have a post that's doing well, and I have a business page, and then I'll get a message that will say, "Hey, boost this post to reach, 5,000 more people for just $25 or something." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not that much to reach that much, that many more people." And I think I've heard you talk about this before, why we maybe shouldn't use that. So what are your thoughts there when we get those prompts?
Reach is fine, but reach is reach.
Mhm.
So, meaning you're just going to reach a bunch of people. It's brand awareness. That's fine. So, you can use that boost if that's your goal. But when you get into ads manager, you want to go deeper. So, we don't do those. We do a little bit of that for like video views or something like that, just to increase that brand awareness. I do a lot of video viewer ads just to increase my brand awareness, but then you can actually retarget those viewers with a normal conversion ad. And
Okay.
a conversion ad, then your cost per lead versus
Mm.
just I reached 1,000 people and I paid X amount of dollars for that reach.
Right.
So you really do need to, if you're planning to really figure out Facebook and Instagram ads, you need to learn the business manager and the ads manager area for sure.
Okay. So how do we learn it then? Because there's people like me that are newbies, and I'm kind of aware of it. And when you said love-hate relationship, I'm like, yes, hate.
I
Like
know.
it's just confusing, right? So how do we learn it? I mean, is that something you teach? Is there
I do,
tutorials
I
in
do.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's part of my program. I have a coaching program, and so I
Mm.
do teach, that in depth in my coaching program. I hold people's hand. I actually do a lot of one-on-one calls to walk them through it because that's probably the most frustrating part of all of it. Once you
Mm.
kinda get that down, get it properly set up, there's iOS 14.
Mm.
The iPhones blocked some of the ads last year, so there's a special setup for
Uh-oh.
that you have to know. You have to turn on two-factor authentication or your ad account will possibly be disabled. A lot of
Mm. Okay.
factors there. So we do go cover all that, and if you're really a do-it-yourselfer, I guess, you can always go to YouTube and Google it,
I was gonna
and
say, does Facebook or does Instagram or Facebook offer tutorials or
they
training on
have a
that?
what's called Blueprint,
Okay.
and I don't know how good it is, but I'm sure they have tutorials as well.
I always feel like and for me, I mean, I don't, I have presence on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't, I'm not like an expert like you are by any stretch of the imagination. But I always say, like in the equivalent of LinkedIn, there is a help area on LinkedIn. You can search help, or to your point, you can go on Google and go into YouTube videos and look for things. But LinkedIn, they have a vested interest. I mean, they're a business and I get it. They have a vested interest, which is upselling you into premium memberships or into buying more LinkedIn ads. Whereas when you work with somebody who is an independent coach consultant, they really want to have you help you use the platform more successfully. And I would think it's the same way for you, Janet, because you don't make money on how much ads people spend on Facebook and Instagram. Your business is run on helping them to use it more effectively. So I would think if it's working, they're going to continue to work with you and refer more business to you. Whereas Facebook or Instagram, their vested interest is in getting more money. So that's why the boosted ads, I think, work so well because it's only $25. You can reach 5,000 people and people are throwing money at them, right? I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook tries but they also I have a Facebook ad rep myself. I talk to every
Okay.
couple weeks just to see and sometimes I go back at them and I say, "Yeah, I know you guys are going to say this, but it's really not what works." You know what I
Right.
mean? Because they have their way compared to what way really works that I've, learned from working with hundreds of clients. So,
Hmm.
bottom line is you got to take some of the things that they tell you with a grain of salt because, that's for them to make their money on.
Mm.
They help.
That's
They do help, but there's some
yeah.
things that they just, like the boost, for instance, they don't explain how it's really kind of not the way you should be doing things.
Right. It's probably an easy entry, a low
Easy.
barrier type
Yep.
of thing because you can just click on it and then I don't remember the first time I set it up. I think I had my credit card linked now, so I can do it again if I ever wanted to. But it's more curiosity, I think. You catch people and it's a low entry point, low barrier to setting, and there's not a lot of technology that's required in getting
Exactly.
it set up. But ultimately, if you are trying to use these ads to grow your business and to support your business, what I'm hearing you say is you want to be a little bit more specific. And talk to us a little bit about when you go inside the ads manager, it's been a little bit, but you'll probably be very familiar with this. There's so many different areas that you can use for targeting. And I think that's one of the main differences between the Facebook business manager as compared to LinkedIn. It's the campaign manager where you can target ads on LinkedIn. But Facebook, I just remember there's like so many different criteria, interest and pages you're following. And talk to us a little bit about targeting.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go back to what I started with as a
Oh, yeah.
story. They removed a lot of targeting in January.
Mhm.
So, and I'm sorry if you hear a little bell. My kitten decided to start
Oh,
playing
yeah.
behind me.
Well, if there's an appearance that the kitten would make, I think that's
Well,
okay with our audience too.
I'm going to try to take it away. Hold on.
Aw, this is what happens, guys, when you watch me and my guests. We are real people. We are non-scripted. And
We'll
aw, hello. What's his
see if
name?
that's Jazz.
Jazz. Hi,
Was
Jazz.
Jasmine until we found out it was a boy.
Right. Oh, well, we always love having special guests, whether they are little people or furry creatures on the show here. And we're in a work from home environment, and I think we just all have to we have to give people more patience and grace because it's the reality of the world we lived in, right now. So, anyways, going back, you
Okay,
said you had a
back to
story.
audiences. Okay, so
Yeah.
audiences have, like I said, people are there.
Mhm.
Whatever they're clicking on, what they're talking about is on Facebook. It goes to their interests. So
Mhm.
Facebook learns a lot about people because people are engaging there in both Instagram as well. So bottom line is there's interests and there's a lot of different avenues that you can target them. But they did remove in January religion, anything based on religion,
Really?
anything political, and
Wow. Okay.
anything with healthcare, like cancer. So
Wow.
I'm going to give you an example of a lot of people were like, oh, there's no point in even advertising here anymore. Well, we've made it through many, many phases like Cambridge Analytica. There's been many phases that we've
Yeah.
had. And here's a really good example. We did a $50,000 launch with $5,000 in ads. And that was back in January, right before they removed it,
Okay.
right before they got rid of it. And the gal actually only targeted women who have had breast cancer.
Okay.
That's a deep, niche,
Right.
and so we had all these cancer audiences. Every single one of them was removed.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just thought, is it going to be worth trying it again? And she did great. That's a 10x ROI,
Right.
so bottom line is she did great, but we just recently, within the last month, decided to do a test of email list building
Mhm.
just to see if we could test some big audiences. The big, broad audiences, like women a certain age in the United States,
Mhm.
that's it. And
Hmm.
then we made sure that the wording in our ad was calling out the people we're looking for.
Okay.
And specifically, the offer is calling out the cancer patients as well. Bottom line is she's converting between 22 and 99 cents per lead right now.
Wow. That's wonderful.
So it's working very, very well. So back to what I said, yes, they know everything. And yes, we used to teach niche down, niche way, way down.
Mhm.
Get to that core audience, test this little audience, this little audience. Now it's the opposite. It's like, let's
Mhm.
go bigger, broader, and maybe put an interest in there possibly, but bigger, broader can work better because Facebook can learn from who is clicking. And
So
then
the interaction itself is really driving it. It's not applying the filters and getting super niche, it sounds like.
yes, and the biggest mistake people make, well, there's quite a few, but number one is that, and I'm not saying this is the top one, but they don't wait long enough and let
Okay.
an ad run long enough. It
Okay.
should be at least 5 days, if not, a full week. So let an
Okay.
ad run long enough.
Okay, so that's a good tip. I've never and I'm trying to it's been a little while since I've run an ad, but I was always curious, like, if there is a minimum time frame. I mean, can you just run an ad for a week and that's it? Or should you be running ads continuously, 1 week, different ad the next week? What are your thoughts there?
Great question. Really good question. The longer you run an ad, the more you can learn about it and the more you can shift and scale that ad. So you need to learn from the data. So for instance, one of the ways we work is we'll test audiences first, and we may do 5 different audiences. Then
Okay.
what we'll do is run that for at least, about a week, maybe up to 2 weeks, and then we'll shift that to creative. And then
Mm.
we'll test the creatives. We'll test a video, GIF, just a regular graphic, maybe a few of them. So the max you probably want to do is about 5 max,
Okay.
maybe even
But you're
just
saying only
4.
test one element at a time, whether
Thank
it's
you.
creative or audience, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And you let that run another week. So the bottom line is then you can test copy. Then you can test even your offer. Is your landing page converting, right? So
Mm.
the longer you run an ad, the better off you are.
Okay, good to know. And what about budget? Do we need to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars on this, or what's your recommendations on, expectation for budget?
It depends on the goal.
Okay.
So we work our way backwards.
Mhm.
So when we're doing a launch, we look at, okay, how many people, let's say it's a masterclass webinar launch.
Mhm.
How many people do you want on that? if you want this many people, this many show, this many, it will convert maybe at, we'll say average $5 a lead. And I'm just throwing that out because
Sure.
it depends. But bottom line is we work our way backwards and figure out, this is what you should be spending.
Okay.
So it's like you kind of got to know. And now if you have no idea and you're just starting out, I do recommend list building first. First off, I mean, this isn't an email marketing thing, but bottom line is list building is still working today. And if you're not building an email list, you should start yesterday because email marketing and, text messaging still absolutely works. And so
Okay.
one of the fastest ways to learn your audience and really get out there with your Facebook ads is doing list building. So I pretty much all my clients, I do list building ads with, as well as other types of conversion ads too.
So when you say list building ads, is it an ad designed to drive people to sign up for your list? Is that what you mean by that?
You
Or
got it. You got it. So you're giving that free, maybe a freebie. Some people do a low cost course, like very, very low cost. There's a lot of different ideas, but typically a lot of freebies. So you do
Okay.
a free, and then on the back end, you will maybe say, hey, sign up to have a call with me, sign up
Okay.
for my group, sign up for, other things. But bottom line is you're building your email list.
So interesting. So I've got a list of 50 tips to build your LinkedIn or optimize your LinkedIn profile for people using LinkedIn for sales. And I've occasionally put that up in my website section of my LinkedIn. I've done posts on it. I did a series of posts in that series, and it tends to be a really good list generating source for me. I've never thought about using it as an ad, as a list building ad on Facebook or Instagram. And it sounds like that might be something I should think about. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You should think about that. Yeah. For my own business, I have
Mhm.
a guide out there that's a benchmarks cheat sheet. I currently spend thousands of dollars a month just marketing that.
Wow.
Now, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars a month. I'm not saying that, but that's what I do because I have my whole entire sales funnel is based off of that. So
Okay.
bottom line is that's a great starting point, and then you could build off that to get clients.
Interesting. Okay, very good. Well, this is some great insights here. We're gonna move into Q&A in just a few moments. I'm gonna put the ticker up on screen to remind all of you who are watching right now. If you do have any questions for Janet about using Facebook or Instagram ads for your business, or if you have any comments to add to the conversation, your own experience using these ads, please jump into the comments right now. Just leave a comment below. And I do see that our friend Terry Bean is watching, but I'm not sure why StreamYard is not showing me his comment up on screen for some reason. But he is
Oh,
watching. And now, did
interesting.
you guys go to high school together? Is that
We
correct information?
did, yes. We won't yeah, we don't even need to say what year we graduated 'cause that's really interesting.
I do see Terry, if you're still watching, I do see your comment on LinkedIn, but StreamYard, I don't know why it's not showing me your comment here at all.
No, it's not.
Um, and I do see, I want to kind of show one question so far, and we were actually talking about this in the pre-show, Janet,
I know.
about what's happening on. I Reels are just on Instagram, right? Or are they're on
They're
Facebook
on
too?
Facebook too now.
Okay, so
Mhm.
I'm not super heavy on
It's
Facebook.
through Instagram, so you
Yeah.
do them really on Instagram.
So, what do you think about Reels? Do they work? That's a question from Dave.
Honestly, if your focus is now this is organic side, not
Yeah.
paid side, but if you're really wanting to reach a lot of people and get a lot of engagement with your Instagram account organically, yes, you must be doing Reels. You must.
Okay.
It's we just talked about how I put out a new video every single week on my Instagram profile.
Mhm.
And I usually get like a couple hundred views. I put out a Reels, and that's in the feed, just a square one in the feed, the normal type of post. When I put out a Reels last week, I just did a random Reels, and I had 2,500 viewers. You were saying
Wow.
how you just put one randomly up and you had 5,000 viewers. It's crazy. So yes, you definitely want to be doing Reels. Now, let's go to the next layer, Reels with advertising, because they
Mhm.
brought in Reels now to the ads. I have found that works best for brand awareness reach. It does
Okay.
not work very well with conversion ads.
Really?
So
Okay. And I'm gonna drop your I think this is the right one. Did I get it? Is this your Instagram
you
up
got
on
it.
screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you guys can follow and look on. I wanna go back to the question because there might be somebody going, Reels?
What
What's a
are
reel?
reels?
Like, can you tell us, for those people like myself that are a little bit like, I think I know what it is, but can you describe for us what is a
The
reel?
easiest way to describe it is that it is TikTok. They are basically they took over. They copy everything TikTok does. You know,
Okay.
stories weren't original for Instagram. That was copied from some other platform as well.
Mhm.
So it's just the same thing as TikTok. It's those short. You create them on your phone. They're vertical. They're very, very short and to the point videos that are very interactive.
Okay. Good to
So
know. And
basically TikTok. Reels are
yeah,
TikTok.
and I think, the one I was telling you about was like me with my dog, and it was like just I made it funny, or I put a lesson, life lesson or a business lesson or something in. So I'm it still surprised me. Like, I posted the same video on LinkedIn and it didn't do as well, but I as on Instagram. And it was one of those things I just kind of stumbled. I'm like, maybe I'll try a reel. I don't really know how these things work, but I'll kind of dabble in that a little bit. Um, so
You
let's go
can
back
also
to,
get paid to do reels, just FYI.
what's
So,
that? You get paid to do reels?
so
What do you
they're
mean by
new.
that?
So if you're a creator, they just reached out to me because of my amount of followers or whatever. But so now I get paid every time I do reels that get a lot of views. I don't know how it
Real.
works. X amount of views, you make X amount of money. But I
Okay.
know somebody that made $20,000 just since January, just posting her reels.
And
So
this is just posting whatever you want. It's not posting to talk about a specific product?
nope. Nope.
Wow.
It's Facebook paying the
Okay.
person, paying the
Okay.
creators. Yeah. But you
Oh,
have
well,
to actually qualify for it.
gotcha.
But if you do a bunch of reels right now, I'm sure you would end up qualified eventually for it. So another
Interesting.
another push for it. Yeah, they're really pushing. Well, they want to win over TikTok. So that's what their goal is.
Are you on TikTok too, Janet, or are you only on an
No, but
Instagram?
what's very interesting is the cost of advertising on TikTok and even the conversions working is very, very well, very
Mhm.
good. The only things I've ever posted are my cats. So that's
Right.
funny you say your dogs, mine's my cats. But here's the thing: we are launching ads, and so I'm a newbie with it. But bottom line is the platform, the ads platform, they completely copied it from Facebook. So
Really
it's the same thing, and we are going to start running my own ads and clients' mine ads on TikTok as well because
interesting.
it's supposed to be really, really good advertising.
Okay. Well, I think and what I heard you say in your background story too is, you've been around the digital marketing block, so to speak, and you've kind of been on different networks throughout the years. I mean, that what I see is that is a huge asset to you because you understand how the media landscape is changing, and you understand, like, audiences don't always just stay in one place forever. They shift from one platform to another. But nowadays, what I heard you say too is we're learning these lessons from one platform that we can apply to others. And I'm curious, because we have a lot of folks that are on LinkedIn right now that maybe have really given very little thought to using Facebook and Instagram ads for their business. What advice do you have for those folks if they've never done ads in those platforms? They're mainly on LinkedIn. What advice do you have for us?
Are you driving consistent leads to your business? That is what we talk about, consistency. It is what you're doing on Facebook, the posts, doing the reels on Instagram, the posts on LinkedIn. Are they really, really driving consistent leads?
Mhm.
Because if they're not, and you want more consistency that you can actually get the data for and scale, then really my recommendation is Facebook and Instagram ads. That's the number one platform right now for advertising. Number two would be TikTok's coming in there now, but then there's Google and YouTube as well.
Mhm.
Um, LinkedIn is good. I've just heard very, very expensive. So the
Very
most,
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Right.
not meant for the average small business, but Facebook and Instagram is. So
Mhm.
we test everything there first before we move to the other platforms. We do some with Google as well. So bottom
Okay.
line is, if you want the consistency, I highly, highly recommend learning Facebook and Instagram ads.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So there may be some folks that are now kind of warmed up to this idea, and myself included. I've got this course that I'm going to be doing a public launch of in the future. How do we get started, and tell us a little bit about, if we wanted to work with you, what are the services that you offer? Is it an online course? Is it working with you one-on-one? Like, what is it that you offer to people that can help them to get started with Facebook and Instagram ads?
So we have two sides to the business. One's the agency side, one's the coaching side. So we
Okay.
do both. So my recommendation is, if you can, this is your money being spent. This is like the lifeline of your business. So my recommendation is you should learn it. But a lot of people come to me and just go, no, 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 I don't want to.
I don't want to, right?
Yeah, yeah. So then they just hire our company to do that for them. Bottom line is, there's both sides to it. So we do coach and hold people's hands through the process. And it's an online course in a way, but we do weekly calls. I show how to optimize. I help even with the landing pages. And there's so many different pieces to making an ad work beyond just the ads. So you need to know your numbers. That's a big thing. And so we really help with all of that in the coaching group.
Okay, good to know. And related to that, I just saw Chris drop in a question as you were describing this, and kind of related to what you're talking about, and effectiveness of ads and whatnot. Any thoughts, Janet, on what elements work best for engagement with these ads? Image, good hook, call to action. Any tips for us there?
I will say the creative is probably the most important to grab that attention. So, and then the second piece is the wording that goes right above that creative. Videos can work very, very well, short to the point videos, but videos don't always win. The ads that I was telling you that I spend thousands of dollars a month on currently, mine, I've tested videos versus graphics, and the graphics have performed better. So you need to test. I'm a big person with testing, but I would say the thing that's going to grab their attention the most is for sure going to be that creative.
Okay. All right, good to know. So back to when I was asking, like, how do we get a hold of you? And it
Sure.
sounds like you've got the on-demand coaching, or rather the on-demand courses, and then you've got the one-on-one coaching. So where do we go? Do we go to your website? Do we go to your Instagram profile? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, any of the above. Of course, you can reach out to me. JanetEJohnson.com is easy enough. There's a contact button. You fill that in, and then we'll just set up a call to chat and see if we're a fit, and we could talk, both the coaching side or the agency side with you. The program, if you want to learn more about that course, it's adsevolutioncoaching.com. That's the actual coaching link.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up my screen right now to just sometimes I'm like a visual person. I'm like, you need to tell me where to go to find this.
Sure.
So if we go on
Yep.
your website, where's it at?
Yes. So the contact button's at the very top.
Oh, right
And then
here.
also,
Okay.
I just will point out to you, if you want my free resource, it's the ads cheat sheet.
Oh, right here. Okay.
So
So that's
everything's really, you can get to right on my website.
okay. And I'm going to drop this into I'm going to put this up on screen first so people can see the direct link where to find that. And then I'm also going to drop it into the LinkedIn comments in case there's somebody watching on LinkedIn who wants to quickly get over there. And it has the link to the ads benchmarks, but we can also navigate back to the homepage on there too, Janet. And since I have this up on screen, I want to navigate to your LinkedIn profile right now and tell us, are you open to connecting with people that are watching the show here today, or what are your
Absolutely.
personal preferences?
Absolutely. Feel free to, I'm a Facebook, Instagram user, so I've been on LinkedIn since day one, probably as well, but I'm not over there as much as you guys, like Terry and you, Brenda. You guys are on LinkedIn all the time, where I live more on Instagram. But absolutely, feel free to connect with me.
All right, awesome. And I want to I'm dropping her LinkedIn URL up on screen right now. If you do pop on over to her profile and invite her to connect on LinkedIn, do mention that you saw her on the show with Brenda, like name drop me in the invitation. And there's a way that when you invite someone to connect, you'll get a button that will say either add a note or send now. You always, always, always want to click add a note and mention where you heard about the person, and especially if they were referred by someone else. I think it's really important. I always tell people too, Janet, it's not just for that person's benefit, it's also for your benefit, because 5 years from now you might look back and go, who is this Janet person? Like, how did I originally connect with her? And for me, I use this technique, and right now if I click on message, I can see our messaging history, and I can scroll all the way up to the top. And in this case, I said, hi, Janet. We haven't met in person, but I keep seeing your name popping up on my homepage due to our common connection of Terry Bean. So if I forget, it helps me. And by personalizing, it helps you as somebody looking to connect with the other person. And I want to ask, the Business Growth Time show that you're doing with Terry, do new shows broadcast out at a specific date and time, or where can we go to learn more about that?
Yeah, businessgrowthtime.com
Okay.
is probably your best place. I mean, of course, Business Growth Time is on iTunes and every single place that there's a podcast as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we put out every other week, we put out a new show that maybe interviews people. Terry and I do some shows where we just talk to, about our expertise as well. And then I also do a Facebook and Instagram ad tip every single week that's super short. So if you just want quick
cool.
ad tips, those are on the podcast, but they're also on my Instagram as well. So you can
All right.
go to either place.
Awesome. Well, Janet, thank you so much. It was a delight. I learned some new
Thanks,
things here
Brenda.
today, and I'll encourage people, if you're watching, if you're watching this in playback, and I see there's even some additional questions coming in at the end. We didn't get to all of these today. I'll leave the link to the post for you, Janet, if you want to follow up with Chris. Sounds like he might be interested in learning more about some of the work that you're doing there. But if you guys are watching this in playback later, you can still leave your comments in here. I'll give Janet the link so that she can review your comments and then provide some follow-up information for you. And related to that, if you have not yet posted on LinkedIn this week, this month, this year, I'm going to give you a little tip. And that is, as soon as the video is done playing, if you would like the show here, click on the share button and share it as a LinkedIn post. Tag Janet in the post on LinkedIn when you do so, and maybe tell people something that you learned from watching today, or who should watch this. If you're interested in learning more about Facebook and Instagram ads, and you're a small business owner, or you're on a tight budget, or you're looking for ROI, watch the show. Like, include something in there, but do make sure that you tag Janet so she gets the benefit of that notification and the visibility for sharing her insights with us here. Janet, as we wrap here today, any final comments for folks about using Facebook and Instagram ads for their business, or anything for that matter?
I am just do it. Do something. I'm always like, you learn these tips, you get educated, but do you actually take action on it? Whatever you do, just take some action. Just even if you just go try it yourself, take action.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I'm going to look at your resources. You'll probably see my name coming in shortly for that tip sheet on there. I think that was very interesting, and I'll definitely be in touch with you in the future. So thank you again, Janet. I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks a lot, Brenda. Thank you,
All right,
everyone.
guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful week. We will see you on LinkedIn. Stay safe and stay healthy. And in the meantime, I'm here every Tuesday, 9:05 a.m. Eastern. And please join me next week for my next guest. We'll see you guys. Take care.